I've been buying more and more of Ling's minifigures and got my first one of their bigger flashlight minifigures being the Sentinel here. Of course, I also have the Galactus bigger lamp minifigure on pre-order too that hopefully will come eventually. So it'll be cool to kind of compare those. But it is a fun scale to get the bigger minifigure style character there. Presentation wise, it's going to be pretty much the same, just bigger. And today I got another one of those minifigures, this time being the Master Mold. Really wanted to get this one since, another X-Men character. That's kind of my bread and butter when it comes to custom minifigures, especially seeing this one. It had some good stuff to it, but I feel like it was a little simple, and I definitely wanted to see what this one looked like in hand since it has a lot more detail. Also, more molded parts. Let's go ahead and check out the packaging. Like all their minifigures, it has a tile that is UV printed with the number out of the amount that they made, so I have 17 out of 40 here. And just like the previous Sentinel one, you can see that it's the same font style. One thing I'm noticing though, this one has a lot more of a recessed area in the foam for the character to sit. This one is a lot closer to the front of the packaging. And honestly, I think that is kind of an issue where I'm not actually able to close this after I kind of open it to take a quick look at it. So that's kind of an issue. And even the mask there, you can see extra cutout and again, pressing very close to the edge of the packaging. So I don't know if it's something I did when I kind of took it out and put it back in, but slightly concerning. Getting to the back of it, again, same card setup as all the other minifigures, description of the character, quick little line about them, and it uses Lego parts, being the keychain flashlight minifigures, but also custom molded parts. So a mix of official parts as well as unofficial parts, like most custom Lego minifigures. The character is still basically factory sealed. It has the plastic wrap that goes around to kind of hold it together. Lid comes off. The tile, like I said, has basically the render of the minifigure. Nothing on the back. It's unofficial Lego tile. Minifigure is just kind of held in with friction on the head area since the rest of it was kind of loose like you saw. You get the flashlight character there. And the second mask, I noticed this one's kind of hard to get out, so found the easiest way to remove it is to take off the foam and then press it through instead of trying to scrape at it. You could end up damaging the plastic or the ink on it, but you get the second head too. And here's just a quick shot of the contents taken out of the packaging, comparing it next to the normal Sentinel minifigure, obviously very based off of the video game like I showed in that review. If you want to see that, check out the corner. This one has shoulder pads, bigger arc reactor, very simple design. This one has a lot more of the bolts and different parts to show that it is put together in different ways. And the colors aren't a perfect match. This one has a much more muted, darker tone where it's kind of salmony versus this one being a lot closer to a Lego dark pink. And I am actually able to compare it to a normal Lego keychain as well to kind of show that off with the space one I got from my local Target. And it just gives you a better idea of what they started with. They usually take off the hair pieces, helmets, whatever on their flashlights, and go ahead and print over this. So the time the colors, the arms, legs, all that is changed through printing. It's very impressive to see them turn this into one of these. And with all that, let's go ahead and jump into the actual review. Since it is basically just a Lego minifigure, just larger scale to have the same sort of articulation where the arms move. You got wraparound printing on the inside. Hands do rotate. I would be a little worried about that. Like I said, the plastic is printed all over to make it a different color. So you just want to be careful not to damage it. Looks like technically there is no side torso printing other than the fact that it is printed purple already. Legs have some really great printing all around there where they have all the different implied joint pieces, I guess I should say. Back of the minifigures where it gets really detailed, you can see the different spine work and other little detailing to give the armor plating, different parts being put together like I already have been saying. Back of the legs too. So a lot more of a detailed minifigure than the previous Sentinel that I already have. Even looking at the head, it's the same sort of thing. You get the extra cobalt blue sort of printing on the head to give the line work on that. You get some silver as well, and the red little light of some sort. I'm sure that's related to his powers in the comics. I can't remember exactly right now. But really great design. There's some subtle depth added with some gray on the arms as well, kind of showing where the elbow would be. So they're going a little bit above and beyond there. And I'm just very happy with the detailing on this one compared to the other one. I was very disappointed at how simple that design was. And the mask does come off. I think there are some issues with my copy maybe, where it is printed slightly off. It's kind of creepy seeing the face without the mask on. And there's like a gray speck on the figure's like right eye. Not sure what happened there. It is too bad though. If you look closely when the mask is even on, you can see that there is a color difference. And at the top, you can see that the black is coming off a little bit on the yellow head. So head is completely wrapped around, printed. So obviously, you know, things will happen, especially if you're taking parts off, putting them back on. Yeah, that's why you just want to handle these the least amount that you can. It is nice where the color is coming off. Obviously, the mask covers it. One thing I noticed, just trying to put it on this one, it always wants to settle with the eyes shifted over. It isn't a perfect fit like the other Sentinel head kind of seemed like it was. You kind of have to force it to have the eyes straight. Again, there's also an issue when you go to turn the head. It is very difficult to line the eyes up again. You have to take the helmet off completely, basically, and re-center the eyes, which is kind of annoying. Now that's kind of a nitpick, but it would be nice if it just lined up perfectly, since the inside of the head is actually more of a round square, to match the sort of stud on top of the head. So overall, you know, it is a minor complaint, but it is something that I observed with the product. Of course, you can take this mask off too and replace it with the more generic Sentinel head, which again is going to have that same problem where you try to put it on, it shifts the eyes to the right like that. So really hate to see that, especially when these figures end up being a little more on the expensive side. And I have a lot more of an issue getting this one lined up, where it really is kind of getting forced. And you can see it's still shifted. And just did it off camera to try and get it a little bit more lined up. It is possible, but really like it to fit pretty much perfectly without a whole ton of effort. And I'll show this look off a little more closely. And you can see with them next to each other, there are the subtle differences. The helmet molds are going to be the same, but the master mold one has more of the tan, flesh colored printing for the face versus the original, which had a gold plated face based off of the game. You can see that the red pupils sit a lot more centered on that head versus on the master mold one here, where you can see that the head is actually pressed down a little bit more. The eyes sit a little bit lower, and that's because it doesn't have the shoulder pads, I'm assuming. So the mask is able to press down a little bit more than on the older version of the figure. As I was taking a quicker look and switching out the helmets, I noticed that they are actually different because the sizes are not the same. They are not compatible, unfortunately, so you can't switch them around to get the different face colors even if you wanted to, where this one seems like it has a smaller sort of headpiece. So you can throw it on if you want to update the helmet for this version, but it won't actually hold on since it won't actually go on the stud. For whatever reason, I guess the hole is smaller on that one. So that's kind of interesting. I would assume that the flashlight minifigures would have been the same, but I guess if they used different ones for the two different batches, they're not going to be perfectly compatible, which is too bad because they came with the extra piece here. You could have one as master mold anyway. I would have liked to have tossed this one on. I guess if you're just having it stand there, you're not going to move around too much. That will work, but it doesn't actually hold on there at all. So something to keep in mind. And like I was saying, I do think that this would be kind of my preferred look with the two different characters next to each other. I just feel like the gold on this minifigure, it's just not my favorite look, especially when you put them next to each other. The gold and the silver would kind of clash a little bit, so it's better to keep them a little bit more different. Like I said, you can see right there, some elements are kind of the same where the wires are. You can see the style is the exact same spots even. Other than that, though, the detailing is completely different, where this one doesn't really have any printing on the arms or legs. And that one had all the detail, like I already kind of showed off. And that just continues all the way around, front and the back. You know, there is some nice detailing on this one, especially in the back, but nothing on the legs. It's very comic-based, where in those original comics, it was just like a normal dude, but a little bigger maybe, and barely a robot. This one definitely embraces the robotic design of the character. And you can see this one has a much different mask design, where it is missing the back of the neck there versus this one being just a normal head. But I do really like this one. You know, I did point out some things like the mask being a little difficult to keep lined up. It's very hard to move the head without adjusting the helmet completely separately from the head. But these are a very cool concept. They're very unique. And it'd be very interesting to see other people do something like this. You know, they've done a ton of characters in the same style using these flashlight bodies. So you can kind of find anything from them that might interest you. They've done some of the kind of strange space characters too. Love to see the Watcher maybe in this size. I think that would be cool. Just one thing I should point out, at the top of the torso it is still black on Master Mold, which stands out a little bit instead of it being a solid purple there. But I guess with the back of the head being black as well, it kind of blends a little bit. Looking at it from the front though, you're not going to notice it. I guess that probably just happened since the shoulder pads don't cover it up like on this one. They just didn't really decide to change that up at all. But really, that's about it. Give another quick 360 of the character on the stand while we have it here before we get to full comparisons with other characters and minifigures. It's such a cool concept. You know, it is a little bit limited. There's only 40 of them. A little bit more on the expensive side, obviously, if you are new to collecting. Might be a little bit of sticker shock, but I love the X-Men. I love getting some custom X-Men minifigures. This is a very unique piece for my collection. And like I said, let's go to some more comparisons and the final verdict. On a macro level with this figure, you know, it is probably a little on the small side, but using the resources that Lego puts out, not an awful solution to make characters like this, where it's a little bit bigger, and at least then it isn't just a normal minifigure. On the other hand, for Sentinels, it wouldn't be the worst thing ever to have some Prime Sentinels, just like they did in X-Men 97. That would be kind of a cool minifigure to have, but definitely say this one is an upgrade compared to the first Sentinel that they did put out in detailing, as well as, I believe, colors even, where this is a lot closer to what Lego colors would end up being. And the extra printing doesn't hurt too. You know, maybe it would have been nice to have some sort of shoulder pad piece to give it some bulk, since it does end up looking a little bit slim, especially for Master Mold, which is supposed to be bigger and actually basically give birth to normal Sentinels. It should have some more bulk than the normal Sentinel, obviously. Comparing it to some other X-Men minifigures, you can see that the scaling, you know, it is better than it could be, but I would love to see one of these figures also on that huge scale, like the Galactus that they're going to be putting out. Maybe they will. I don't know how well the Galactus performed to their expectations or anything like that. If you're a fan of the X-Men and you have some money to spend, you might want to track one of these down, but keep an eye out, find it for the right price for you and your collection. If you want to see more custom Lego X-Men or Lego X-Men videos overall, check out all the videos on my channel. I've been Brick Radiop, and I'll see you in the next video.